Let's talk about a quick, easy-to-use sub-plan for the month of October. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Ashley, aka Senior to Spanish. We provide easy-to-use resources to save you time and energy while you're lesson planning. If you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything that I mentioned will be down in the description box below. Okay, so the sub-plan. Again, easy to use. You don't even have to use it as a sub-plan. It's a great just like October activity, especially if your kids start getting a little antsy, a little energetic, a little crazy around Halloween. This is for you. So that way you can do some sort of seasonal fun, lean into the crazy, but Spanish. Let's talk about it. Like you can see, it comes with a written sub-plan for you, so you don't have to write it out, but I'm just going to walk you through how you can use it as a lesson plan in your classes. And then if you need a sub-plan or whatever, that's what you would leave. So these are the roll a story activities. I've talked about these before on my channel, and I have some free options for you to try as well. This one is Halloween themed, so you can kind of see there's lots of fun, creepy, crazy monsters. There are two versions of the roll a story sheet. One has the vocabulary written in on it because like my novices wouldn't know what a ghost is or what a bat is in Spanish, so I wrote all those in. But if you have upper levels or maybe you've done several like spooky story units in the past or something like that, there is a version without the vocabulary written in, or like maybe you prefer different words or different word choices. That's for you. In case you prefer the blank one, you could write in specific vocabulary in case you something different than this. So either way, pick one of the roll a story sheets. You need a copy for each student and you need a die for each student, or you can just use a roll a dice website. There's tons. If you literally Google roll a die, it will roll one for you, so that's an option too. This is how I prefer to store my die. I've shared about this before because it keeps them from rolling all over. So students will just go like this and then right on their desk and they can see, oh, that was a 6. So the way that this create a story template works is students roll to find out, okay, who, and they roll. And if they get a 3 or a 4 or a 5, right, it's their main character is here. Then they roll again and they find out what their main character wants. Then they roll again and they find out, oh, but there's a problem. Of course there's a problem, otherwise we wouldn't have a story. And then they roll again and they find out like something that occurs at the end of the story. So once they have those main details of their story, it's up to them to put together all of the pieces to write a story in Spanish. And that's where that creativity piece comes in. So while they're writing, I like to give them some scaffolding. And there's a couple of different options of these scaffolding sheets, but I just wanted to show you a few. So this first one, right, just has some supportive words for them. It's in the present tense only. And down here on the bottom, it says, you may ask your teacher or look up to 3 words to add and use in your story. List them in Spanish and English here. And one of the versions of the sheet doesn't have that section at all, so they can't look up any words. One of the versions has less words. Up to you. This is a different version of the scaffolding sheet that includes present, preterite, and imperfect, so that way they can choose. There are more versions of this one that have a section like this where they can look up words too. Just wanted to show you a couple of the options that I include for scaffolding, just because that support is what's going to make their stories go, right? Okay, so they've rolled the die and they've gotten their main characters. They have their scaffolding sheet. Now I like to give them a graphic organizer just to kind of get their juices flowing, be a little creative, but not have to worry about all the details yet. So here is a graphic organizer that I give them for them to work through. So it gives them their spaces for their characters, and also I added the setting of the story because that is an important element and it's something that they can add. And there are just some questions underneath to help them kind of think, like, who is the main character? What's their name? What are they like? And then I ask, appearance, characteristics, tell me something about them kind of thing. What's the setting? What do they want? Why do they want it? What's the problem? Right? Basic storytelling stuff, but organized neatly for them so that they can be walked through. Okay, we're going to write a story in Spanish. How? Well, you are capable of that. Here, let me help you with showing you that you're capable of doing this. And of course, there's multiple versions of the graphic organizer, so maybe you have some upper level students who don't need quite as much hand holding. So once they've done their graphic organizer and they've kind of plotted out the ideas, then they're going to move their story to this final sheet where there's space for them to write the story out and illustrate it, right? This is kind of a multi-step process. Maybe your students don't need that graphic organizer. You're just going to give them the roll a sheet and then this one. Up to you. I like to provide a lot of scaffolding options for them so that way they can see, okay, yes, I can do this. This one they might add some more details on, or they might just transfer their story over exactly as they wrote on the graphic organizer. Either way. So if you give your students the version of the scaffolding sheet that has spaces for them to look up words, there is a version of this sheet where they can write the words that they looked up down on the bottom, just because the other students in the class, when they trade and read each other's stories, they'll need that as a reference. So that is just a slight variation on this sheet, just in case that's what you chose. So once students are done writing and then illustrating, I like to have them trade and read each other's stories, or you could just hang them up and students could do it like a gallery walk. But of course, as I've talked about with gallery walks before, I like to have some sort of way for students to be held accountable instead of just meandering around the room. So that's where this sheet comes in. So this sheet is called El Cuento en Dibujos. Okay, so this one is just, as you read your classmate's story, illustrate the components to show what you understood. So again, it's back to those main dice rolls, and they're just going to illustrate the different parts of the story. But again, just showing them, hey, you need to read and understand. We're not just walking around. Here's what you're doing. And again, all of that is written out here in this subplan for you, so that way if you needed to just print and leave it as you go, boom, done. You can also do that as like a multi-day process if you wanted to give students plenty of time to work on the organizer and then write out their story on the story sheet and then illustrate it, and then on a following day have them trade and read each other's stories. And then from there, of course, we can do any reading activity that you like. And I have a full playlist full of reading activities that you could choose from. If you need some ideas, I'll make sure to put that there for you. But we all have our favorites, so whatever you like. All right, I hope that video was helpful for you. And if you need more ideas for October for your classes, make sure you check out my playlist here. It's got Halloween movie talks and more. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure you just drop me a comment down below. I'm happy to help. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.